Stephanie. I will be your trainer. I am the owner and operator, head trainer of Positive Connection Dog Training. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. I originally started as a teacher in the elementary schools. I taught second grade and kindergarten, and I did that for some years until I married into the military and we took off around the world. And I ended up dabbling in some fitness training, so I did that for a little while, and then I landed back into the United States, and I decided I really want to run marathons. I was getting bored. I was practicing, but running by myself, and so I always told my then husband that I wanted to get a dog that could run with me because at the time I had this Chihuahua. He was 15 years old. Like that was not exactly up his alley, if you will. And so I adopted my first dog, Mina. She's a Weimaraner from the Humane Society. And it was in that moment that I realized how she had gotten to the Humane Society in the first place. She was very difficult. I had researched my breed. They were great for running and whatnot, but oh my goodness, was she ever stubborn. Had a very, very an insatiable prey drive. And so she would just drag me all around. And so I ended up hiring this dog trainer, and he had come over to my house. And after a session with him, I couldn't believe it. I think my jaw was on the floor the whole time because so much of what he did was so similar to how I taught my 5-year-olds in kindergarten. And I couldn't believe that I didn't come across this information myself. Like, couldn't put two and two together. And so I thought, this is pretty incredible that you get paid to do this job working with dogs. Like, I would love this. And so from that moment forward, I thought, I am going to do this. I think this is how I want to make my living. I am super happy. I love getting up in the morning. It's like Christmas. I thought that tells me right there the job that I'm supposed to do. So at that time I was living in Kansas, and I got started with a rescue shelter down there, and they had 225 dogs approximately at any given time. And so I started out, and I was able to test everything that I was reading about, learning about, watching out on these dogs. And they were so forgiving and so loving and enjoyed my presence every time that I came. And I learned so much and made mistakes and made it back up to them. And I grew and I learned, and I ended up falling more and more in love with it. And then that also brought about this passion with shelter dogs, and how some of them, most all of them, have such good DNA. Their hearts are good, that they've been in bad situations and they haven't been taught. And so there, my love, my heart really lies in the rescue world. I work alongside the Spokane Humane Society. I train dogs out of there. I started the Positive Connection Academy, where I take dogs who are unadoptable and I bring them to my home, and they live here for a while, and I rehabilitate them and train and then adopt them out. And that is extremely rewarding and fulfilling to me. I also work with another nonprofit rescue. It's called Wiggle and Home Boxer Rescue. I am a huge boxer lover, and so that is super fun for me to be a part of. I have 4 dogs of my own. I have Eli, who's a pit bull. I have Mina, who's the Weimaraner that I adopted, the very first one I adopted. I have Winston, who's an English bulldog. And I have Bam, who is a boxer. So they are my kids. I don't have any two-legged human children. These are my babies, and they are the absolute loves of my life. So anyway, also working in the rescue world, and that's partially what inspired me to stay on as a dog trainer, is that the more information that I can get out into the public and put into your hands and help you problem solve and to help you get the dog that you want, the less likely that those dogs are going to come back and be in the shelter. You don't find really highly trained dogs in the shelter often. They do come in, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of circumstances for which dogs ends up in the shelter, but for a lot of them, they come in at 1 years old, 1.5 years old, where they're in the teenage years, and they were cute and puppies for a while, but nothing, they weren't trained, they weren't worked with, and so they landed up in the shelter. And so if I can arm you with the knowledge that I have, the skills that I know, and to help you get past any of these hurdles, your dog, you will be happier with your dog. You will want your dog to be a part of your life all the time. You'll be walking around Lowe's hardware store with your dog. I'll see you there. Your dog will be a part of your life, and you will take enjoyment out of that instead of it being a burden. And so the more I can help you do that, the better I feel that I'm doing my part. So always know that I'm always available for questions. If you ever have them, or support, I'm always available too for the good stuff that happens. I love hearing the success stories. I'm a positive-based trainer. I feel it's very important to maintain the relationship between you and your dog. I never want to do anything to harm that. I don't want your dog working out of fear. So I use treats in my training, and we'll go over treats later. I never use any adverse tools, no shock collars, no prong collars, no choke collars. We won't be jerking up on the leash at all. So it's very much coming at training from a very compassionate standpoint, where we use lots of love, repetition, clear communication. We teach them what we want them to do. We look for all the good things that they do, and we reinforce those. So they're more likely to repeat those behaviors over and over again. That is science-based. It does work. And I want your dog working for you because they love working for you, not because they're terrified that a shock may come. So don't be confused that positive trainers, that there's no punishment in positive training. There is punishment. It's just that when we do punish the dog, we are not harming the dog, and we're not breaking the bond between the human and the dog. Keep that in mind. I am so happy that you are part of this process, that you are allowing me to be a part of this process of training. And together we are going to reach your goals. So I very much look forward to it, and enjoy the rest of the video. I also use things like hot dogs or cheese. Some people like to use blueberries, Cheerios, goldfish crackers sometimes I've seen in class. Anything that your dog really goes nutso for, and will do anything for it. I reserve some of these treats for hard skills, or if I know I'm going to be working in a very distracting area and I really need their attention. We call these gold level treats, or also in class it's also been known as doggy crack. So another one that I wanted to share with you is this one here is the Nature's Balance dog food rolls. But I like to use these. You do need to keep it refrigerated, so I cut it into slices, and then I cut it into tiny pea-sized pieces, and then put it in a baggie and throw it back in the refrigerator. But so it can be a little bit of a nuisance in that you do have to cut it up and prepare, but I do consider this a gold level treat. So and I can get a lot of treats out of this one roll. It lasts me quite a while with one dog. So keep that in mind. It's always good to vary your treats. I always have a smorgasbord. I never pour in just one type of treat into my bag. I'll take 3 bags and then pour a little bit of each into my treat pouch. That just keeps everything exciting. They never know what they're going to get. They'll keep working for whatever you have, whatever's going to come next. So keep the variety up. So be thinking that those are some ideas, although they're not limited to those. you know, sky's the limit. I do suggest you stay away from things that you find in a grocery store. They are not in it for the quality of food or treats. They are more in it for the profit. So they do tend to have some very cheap ingredients that are not particularly healthy for your dog. The ones that I've shown pictures of, those can all be found at the Yuppie Puppy. Again, I do not make a commission off of the treats. Those are the ones that I just prefer to use, and I love partnering with a company who cares about the nutrition of our pets. So that's why I show those to you. Anyway, so sky's the limit on the treats. Here's what I do, just a helpful trainer tip. I take one of the whole pieces. This one here is an Earthborn treat that I've showed in the video. I take those pieces and I break them up into tiny pieces. These are about pea-sized. That way my bag of treats lasts much longer and my dog doesn't get too full too fast and loses interest during training. So this is a great way. It does take a little bit of time to prepare, but far worth the benefits. For class, you will need a treat bag of some sort. Pockets just don't work. You're not able to get your hand in your pocket quick enough to treat your dog. And treats end up falling out of your pocket. You can't hold enough treats in your pocket. So please do not think, oh, I'm good to go if you just have pockets in your pants. You must have a treat bag of some kind. I really suggest getting whatever works for you. My favorite are the Pet Safe treat bags, like the one I'm wearing here. It is kind of the old style of the change purse where I can open it up and it stays open, and just with a press it will close. Another thing that I like about it is that it has two pouches, one on the outside and one on the inside. So I can carry things like my keys, my phone, tissue, doggy bags, whatever I may need on my walk or during my training session, I can have right on me in my treat pouch. The second thing that I really like about these treat pouches is that it's the perfect size for a Ziploc bag, sandwich bag. I put all of my treats inside the Ziploc bag because I was notorious for putting treats right straight into my pouch, and I'd take off the pouch at night and I'd set it on the counter, and then I'd come back in the morning or during my next training session and my treats would be dried out. So install the sandwich baggie. All my treats go in here. It fits just perfectly into my treat pouch. I can open up my sandwich bag like so, and it's easily accessible to be able to treat frequently. And then at the end of the evening or at the end of my training session, I can simply close my Ziploc bag, shut my treat pouch, and I know that my treats won't be wasted by the time I get to my next training session. I do carry these in stock, as I know some of my students, just for convenience is all. I don't make any money off of them. I just like to have them available for you if you want one. I have them in red, black, and blue. They are $20 even, so if you want one, just simply come to class with $20 cash and you can pick out yours. Prince is demonstrating the front hook harness. Dogs in the class are allowed to wear harnesses as long as the leash hooks right here on the chest bone. So I would take his leash here and clip it right here. And that way I can pull them off their center of gravity. If it connects here on the shoulders, then that is just a recreation of dogs pulling like sled dogs. So you don't want them using their whole body to pull you forward. This right here pulls them off their center of gravity and you'll have far more control. So make sure that if your dog is going to be wearing a harness in class, that it is going to be a front clip harness. Those are also available at the Yuppie Puppy. They have what's called the Freedom harnesses. They are absolutely wonderful. They have a clip right here on the chest bone as well as the one that's on the back, and you can clip to both of them at the same time and have complete control over your dog. So make sure you're getting that front clip harness, if anything at all. The collar that Prince is wearing is the example of a martingale collar. If I pull up on it, it will tighten. So there's no way that he can back out of it. If I'm not pulling, it remains nice and loose, and I can just slip it over his head. That's the martingale collar. All right, another piece of equipment that you can use is the head halty. It's also known as a gentle leader. This is a piece of equipment that will go on the dog's head. When you have control of their head, you have control of their whole body. They just don't have the power there. Now, I'll show you how to put it on. Just know that dogs don't particularly care for it at first. But when it becomes a predictor of walks and training, then they're dying to have you put it on them, and they forget that they have it. And this is also a great alternative to any prong collar. It is very humane, and so this is my preferred method for dogs who pull very hard. It's very important that we keep that shoulder in the socket. Okay, so I'll show you with Eli what it looks like when it's on and how it works. So there's a portion, it goes over the dog's nose, and then there's a strap that just goes up and over the dog's head, and it clips on the side. And then the most important piece is there's a clip here that goes onto the dog's collar. This is your insurance. So if the head halty were to slip off, you still have control of your dog. You're still attached to your dog. So I'm going to clip that onto the ring, onto his collar here. And then you also want to make sure that the piece around their nose, there's an adjustable strap down below. You want to make sure that it's loose enough that they can still pant and open up their mouth. Oh, you're a good boy. That they can open up their mouth, but you don't want it so loose that it can just slip right off their head. Because they may try to do it on the first couple times that you put it on. And then your leash. Put your head up. Put your head up. There you go. Good boy. Your leash goes on this ring that's right below their chin. And you're good to go. And then you have control of their head. So, there you go, boy. He really doesn't like to demonstrate this one, as you can clearly tell, but he's doing good. Yes. So that is your head halty. This can also be found, the ones that have your insurance policy here are all at the Uppy Puppy. And the staff there would be more than happy to help you fit it to your dog. During our time together, we'll be using a technique called marker training. You may have seen this before under the name clicker training. They hold these little contraptions and whenever the dog does something, and then a treat follows. You also see it when people are training dolphins. The dolphin will jump, the trainer will blow a whistle and mark the behavior, and then they will throw a sardine. Did you know that you have 1 to 1.5 seconds to connect the dog's behavior to the reward that they're getting, so the dog knows, oh, I'm getting a reward because I sat down? Chances are fairly slim that we're going to be getting the treat to the dog on time regularly. So what we do is we insert this marker word, and that will bridge the gap from the time the dog does the behavior. We can mark it to show the dog that's exactly what we wanted them to do, and then we have all the time in the world to pull the treat out of our pocket and give it to the dog. I tend to find that the clickers are a little bit clunky to hold in my hand, and sometimes I'll forget them, and then what do? Can I not train when I'm out and about? So I decided to do away with the clickers, and I use a marker word. Our marker word in class is going to be yes. Not good boy, not good girl, it is yes. We will use it because it's one syllable. It is a pleasant word that we can say in a pleasant tone so the dog knows, oh, that's exactly the behavior that they want me to repeat. So when your dog sits, the second your dog sits, we will say yes, and then you will pull a treat out of your pocket and feed it to your dog. I have a couple of videos following this segment that will get you going on a couple of games that you can be playing with your dog. One is to teach them about the marker word, that every time you say yes, a treat will follow. And the other one is to start taking that marker word and implementing it into a skill. So stay tuned, and you will have 2 skills that you can be working on right after this. is charging your marker word. Probably the easiest game in history with your dog. They will think this is amazing because they really do not have to do anything to get the treat. It goes like this. I'm going to put some treats in my hand. I'm all ready to go. I'm going to call Eli over. Eli, come here. Yes. 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 And that's how you charge your marker word. Simple as that. You need to do nothing more. Your dog does not need to do anything for you. You simply say your marker word, yes, and give the treat following. Yes, and give the treat right after. Good luck and have fun. The name game. I've got my treats here already. I'm going to put some in my hand just so I'm ready so I can catch the good behavior when it happens. I'm going to wait until Eli's not looking at me, so I'm just going to walk around a little bit. I'll say his name. He's still looking at me. I want to wait. He knows that I have the treats, and your dog may too. Eventually, they're going to look at something else. Eli, yes. And then I'll give a treat. I only say his name one time. That is all I'm allowed to do. If he does not look at me when I call his name the first time, then I'll make any other sound, kissing sounds, clucking sounds, anything else that would get him to do a head snap and look at me. Eli, yes. Just wait it out. Wait till your dog stops looking at you and looks at something else. Eli, yes. Don't forget to use that marker word. The second you see their eyes come up towards you, mark it with your yes, and then always have a treat to follow. This will get your dog to look at you on the first time you call their name. Eli, yes. Not only will they look at you at the first time, they will look at you the first time every time, as long as you keep practicing this game. And they always get rewarded for it. Eli, yes. Eli, yes. Eli, yes. And that there is the name game. Good luck and have fun.